Thank you very much, Senator Whittaker. Now, Senator Malcolm Roberts, I'll give you the call till 11 o'clock.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for appearing again today. Good morning. My question, well, we've heard today that people are important, and that's reassuring. My understanding is that in the ADF, mateship and trust are of strategic importance. They're strategically significant. And we'll go to safety and trust. I'd like to get to questions that relate to the way that the ADF has mismanaged the suicide of leading aircraftman Andrew Armfield and failed to provide him with the support he needed after his first suicide attempt in June 2011. Are you aware that the Royal Commission transcripts dated 6th of March 2024 and a ministerial background brief from the Deputy Chief of Navy, Commodore Ray Leggett, to Minister Matt Keogh in October 2022, copied to Vice Chief of Defence Force David Johnson and Chief Defence Force Angus Campbell, warned of negative media risk if Mr Armfield's story became public?
Senator Roberts, of course it is very difficult for us to talk about the individual circumstances. As we have explained to you before, we can talk around the support that we are doing to improve suicide awareness, our proactive response to reducing the prevalence of it in the force. Mr Armfield's circumstances were very much a part of the Royal Commission of Defence and Veteran Suicides, but for officials to talk on the particular nature of his circumstances, there is very limited that we can say without his authority to do so. But if it is helpful for you to have officials come forward and just explain how we are responding to the type of circumstances that Mr Armfield experienced and what we are doing to improve our response to it, I'd be very happy to do so.
So I'll ask again, because, and I'll point out that Mr John Armfield has been involved in developing these questions. We got the data from him. He's happy for us to talk about it.
Senator, that might be true of what he's provided to you, but that's not an authority that we have from him.
So I'll ask again, are you aware that you were copied as Vice Chief of Defence Force on the Royal Commission transcripts?
I am aware of Mr Armfield's transcripts, yes.
Given that ministerial brief, do you accept that sworn Royal Commission evidence by then Vice Chief of Defence Force yourself, claiming you were unaware of Mr Armfield's situation, was incorrect, as he had been copied in?
Sorry, Senator, I'm just not clear on your question about which part do you mean that was incorrect?
The ministerial brief to Minister Matt Keogh in October 2022, given that brief, which you said you got, do you accept that sworn Royal Commission evidence by yourself, claiming that you were unaware of Mr Armfield's situation?
My comment to you was I'm aware of the transcript of Mr Armfield's evidence after the Royal Commission had occurred. I would have to go back to my own testimony of the evidence to be able to answer that question for you.
Because it's claimed that you were unaware of Mr Armfield's situation, but you were aware.
No, Mr Armfield appeared directly prior to me appearing as a witness, so I heard his evidence. I would have to check what the circumstances of that question are. So I heard the evidence that Mr Armfield gave because he appeared immediately prior to me on the morning that I appeared at the Royal Commission, Senator. But if you could allow me to go back and clarify the question you're asking to make sure I get the accurate response to it.
That's fair enough. At the time of leading aircraftman Andrew Armfield's first suicide attempt in June 2011, was DIGPERS 1626 a mandatory policy requiring a risk management team? And is it accepted that no risk management team and no crisis management plan were ever established by Dr Suresh Babu or Wing Commander Peter Davies?
So that you're asking me particulars or details of that set of circumstances. We would take them on notice and do our best to answer them for you.
Okay, I appreciate your desire for accuracy. Do you accept that by failing to comply with that mandatory policy, Defence removed structured oversight of leading aircraftman Andrew Armfield's care and therefore failed to discharge its duty of care regardless of treatment occurring in a civilian hospital?
But, Senator, again, I'm not in the position to answer the detail. I just don't have sufficient knowledge of it. I would look at it, but I would restate the importance and the amount of work that we have done to address suicide within the Defence Force, and that with veterans after. There are considerable initiatives, and we have learnt from each one of these tragic circumstances about how we need to change our policies, the awareness of our people, the proactive environment that we can provide in order to minimise the circumstances of suicide occurring. So that was a tragic set of circumstances, and we are doing our best to learn from them and to change the environment to prevent suicide occurring within the force.
That's a nice, broad, fluffy statement, and it's honourable, but I'd like a specific answer to that question. If you could give it to me. I accept that you're putting yourself in a difficult position if you just answer off the cuff. So we'd appreciate a question on notice. Why did Defence redact Freedom of Information material under sections 47E and 47F relating to statements by Flight Lieutenant Carlisle Miles, Commodore Fiona Southwood and Colonel Matthew Freeman, when an FOI review later revealed those redactions concealed false and subjective statements portraying Petty Officer Armfield, that's the deceased's brother, and he's also the complainant, as dishonest or mentally unstable. Some of those statements were emailed 11 times to 14 commissioned officers, thereby damaging his professional reputation and shaping a false narrative to protect defence.
So, Senator, again, I'm sorry, I just don't have that knowledge,
Okay,
but we will take it on notice.
Why did the Inspector General of ADF, Assessment Report 2022, identify that Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Freeman conducted a fact-finding investigation without the required investigator qualification, acted with bias and exceeded his terms of reference by commenting on Mr Armfield's mental health? That's the brother.
Sorry, Senator, what is the question within what you've just presented?
Why did the Inspector General of ADF his Assessment Report 2022 identify that Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Freeman conducted a fact-finding investigation without the required investigator qualification, acted with bias and exceeded his terms of reference by commenting on Mr Armfield's mental health? That's Petty Officer Armfield.
So if your question, Senator, is why did the Inspector General of the ADF come to that conclusion, that is best, of course, presented to the Inspector General rather than to the department.
I'd like to know if what he said was true and you're aware of it.
I would have to take that on notice.
Thank you. What authority or qualification did Commodore Bannister rely upon to decide that Mr Armfield's allegations of criminal conduct, supported by ADF legal advice and reviewed by senior external lawyers, were not referred to police or prosecutors?
Again, I will take it on notice, Senator.
Petty Officer Armfield reported alleged breaches of Commonwealth law on the advice of an ADF lawyer to Commodore Fiona Southwood, Warrant Officer Navy Andrew Bertonson, Captain Anne Andrews, Chief of Navy Mark Hammond, IGADF and the Defence Ombudsman. All were provided the evidence. Process and policy was followed. If each officer deflected or claimed it was not their remit, who exactly does an enlisted sailor, soldier or aircrew report allegations of criminal conduct to within the ADF?
Senator, that is one of the areas where we have extensively sought to enhance the options that are available to individuals of how they report. Some of them, as you are referring to, would be up through their leadership chain, but we have ensured that there are independent options that are outside of an individual's unit or command structure, so that in those circumstances where they feel more comfortable reporting externally, they have multiple options, whether it is to military police, Inspector General of the ADF. We now have a centralised reporting mechanism where reporting can be made that is separate to the command chain. So we have ensured there are multiple pathways available to people when either they believe that reporting that they may have made to their leadership is not being enacted on, or where they are uncomfortable with reporting in that environment and they wish to be able to report external to it.
So what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Admiral Johnston, what I'm hearing is that mandatory defence suicide management policy was not followed, that oversight failed, and you've made changes since, and that serious concerns raised by Petty Officer John Armfield, the deceased brother, were known to senior defence leadership and possibly yourself, while being denied under oath elsewhere. Is that correct?
Senator, that's not what I said with respect.
No, I wasn't saying what you said, what I've heard, what I've interpreted.
No, I didn't comment on the individual circumstances of the case, but did explain
That's
what
correct,
we have
you did
done. If your question is around that set of circumstances, I will need to take it on notice.
Okay, if you could take it on notice, please.
Yes, Senator.
And I accept your correction there. We've heard that reputationally damaging material was withheld under freedom of information, that flawed and unqualified investigations occurred, and that allegations of possible criminal conduct were not referred despite legal advice. Is that correct?
Senator, again, I do not have that detail. I would have to come back to you.
Thank you. Notably, the only person referred to law enforcement in this matter was the whistleblower himself, who was acting on the advice of an ADF lawyer, and none of the officers whose conduct is now in question. Could you confirm or correct that, please?
I would have to take it on notice, Senator.
So what I see, Admiral Johnston, is questions? Is that I don't see this as support for a whistleblower. It's avoidance. It goes to the heart of institutional integrity and accountability. And I look forward to your answers to questions on notice, because the public deserves the truth. Your officers and your enlisted people deserve the truth, Army, Navy, Air Force, and they deserve justice. Anything less confirms that protecting the institution still matters more than protecting those who serve it. And that's what I've seen, being blunt, for the last few years in Senate estimates. The senior brass of the ADF is not standing up and providing the leadership.
So, Senator, I hope you have seen significant evidence that, as we have already canvassed this morning, that people are critical to our capability, that the work we are doing through implementing the Royal Commission recommendations within Defence has a significant priority for us. The structure of support and the environment and culture that we are seeking to build, both within the Defence Force and more broadly across Defence, is highly supportive of our people. There are circumstances, and the Royal Commission was clear, where we have let people down, and we have acknowledged that, and we have put significant effort and priority around doing everything that we can to change those circumstances.
Well,
All right, we're going to wrap up now. I think get to morning tea. I'll have to come back
Admiral
to
Johnston, I look at the report from the inquiry into honours and awards, and a clear recommendation that Defence put in place a more objective process, and that was nixed by the government. So I still don't see that desire for accountability and truth at the top of the Australian Defence Force.
Happy to come back to you a bit later on today, Senator Malcolm Roberts. All right, on that note, we're going to break for morning tea. I'll see everyone here about 11:15.